With springtime approaching, I'm in the mood to make a springtime dessert, and the first thing that came to my mind, carrot cake. And to be honest, I've never really made one before. So let's do it together with Allrecipes top-rated carrot cake recipe. I love the flavors of a carrot cake, and it makes one of my favorite breakfasts. And have no fear, because no one really knows there's carrots in it. I mean, they're so finely cooked down and shredded, your kids are still gonna love it. Listen up, you have to grate your own carrots. This is the hardest part of the recipe, and it'll take you like 2 seconds. But there's nothing like the moisture that you get in these versus trying to buy some pre-shredded carrots. It doesn't work the same. These kind of stay separated, and they don't have near the amount of moisture as if you grate your own. No comparison. The grated carrots are a lot juicier, and they're gonna taste better. That's the most work you'll have to do for the recipe. Now let's bring it all together. I love to mix my dry ingredients first, and by mixing them in a separate bowl, they're better incorporated when you add them to the wet ingredients. So I'm going in with some flour, and then 2 teaspoons each of baking soda, baking powder, and cinnamon. I love the flavor the cinnamon gives. And then a ½ teaspoon of salt. Give that a whisk. Now onto the wet. So I'm gonna mix together sugar, oil, eggs, and vanilla. It smells so good. At this point, we are going to fold in our carrots. This recipe indicates that you can bake it in a 9x13. I'm going with 2 rounds. So I've got 8-inch rounds that I've lined with parchment, and I'm gonna give them a good spray with baking spray. Maybe excessive, but that's the insurance I take. In with the batter we go. Just get them as even as possible. We don't expect perfection around here. That's it. These bake at 350 degrees for about 40 minutes, and then we're gonna let them cool in the pan for 10 minutes before I turn them onto a wire rack to cool completely. And while that happens, we'll make the frosting. 4 ingredients, cream cheese, butter, make sure both are softened, and then just powdered sugar and vanilla. All going into the mixer and whip it up. Quality control. Time to bring it all together. Smells so good. I'm gonna let these cool for about 10 minutes in the pan before I turn them onto a wire rack. And we want them cooled completely before we start icing. I'm gonna put lots of icing in the middle and on top and leave the sides clean, just so you get kind of equal bites of cake and frosting. Just to give me a flat surface, I'm gonna kind of shave off the top, and then I'll get to icing. I'm just loving this recipe. I love that it's not finicky. Everything can go in the mixer at one time. I also decided to ice it this way, which I'm loving because I saw it in a picture. You don't have to worry about being so exact. I think it looks quite lovely. For the finishing touch, I am gonna add a little bit of pecan because that's classic. Voila. My first carrot cake looks pretty impressive. Looks magazine worthy if you ask me. Carrot cake is one of those cakes that needs to be refrigerated because of that cream cheese frosting. You want to kind of keep it stored in the fridge unless you're serving it. You can keep it out for a couple hours at a time, but after that, just keep it in the fridge. Plus, who doesn't love cold cake? If you want to make this cake ahead of time, you can make those layers up to 3 months in advance, wrap them tightly and keep them in the freezer, and then when the time comes, ice it just about a day before you serve it. Slightly chilled and ready to go. She's a beaut. Let's dig in. I mean, just look at it. It makes you happy. Some springtime vibes right here. Ooh. It's just the right amount of sweetness, and it's so perfectly moist. Y'all, don't get me started on that cream cheese frosting. It's perfection in a cake. My first time making carrot cake, and I nailed it. If you're looking for a great recipe to try at home, this is the one to do it with. Happy baking. Snack for the chef.